Princess Lyria sat on the edge of the balcony, her small hands gripping the carved railing as she looked out over the sprawling city of Zephora. The sun was setting, casting long orange and pink streaks across the sky, making the tall towers glitter like stars fallen to the ground. The air was warm but carried a faint metallic scent, a reminder of the advanced technology woven into every part of her planet. Despite the beauty, Lyria felt alone. She had spent most of her life behind walls and curtains, hidden away from the crowds of nobles and diplomats who filled the palace halls. Inside the palace, the grand ballroom was alive with music and conversation. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceiling, their light reflecting off the polished floors. Lyria could hear laughter from afar, the kind of confident, loud laughter that drew attention and respect. She had always admired it from a distance. She, however, could never join in. Speaking to strangers made her palms sweat, and large gatherings made her chest tighten. She preferred quiet corners and whispered words. To the nobles, she was invisible. The princess, who rarely appeared in public and never made a show of herself, was considered weak, awkward, or even unworthy of attention. Lyria sighed and leaned her forehead on the railing, watching the people below. Nobles mingled with dignitaries from other planets, their bright garments flowing like rivers of color. She could see her siblings laughing together, commanding the attention of everyone in the room. They were everything she was not, bold, charming, and confident. The thought made her stomach twist. She had tried many times to approach others, to join in conversations, but her words always came out wrong or too quiet to hear. She had learned to stay out of the way, to watch and listen, and to dream that someday someone might notice her for who she really was. A soft sound behind her made her turn. It was her maid, a small Zypherin with delicate wings that shimmered in the fading sunlight. "Your Highness," the maid said gently, "the dinner is about to start. Would you like to come in?" Lyria shook her head, forcing a small smile. "Not yet, I want a little time alone." The maid nodded, understanding, and retreated quietly. Lyria returned her gaze to the city, wishing she could be like the birds that flew freely in the sky. She longed for a friend who would see her not as a shy princess, but as someone real, someone worth knowing. As she leaned over the balcony, a shadow fell across her. Startled, she turned her head and saw a young human standing there. He was tall, with short brown hair and curious green eyes that seemed to take in everything around him. Unlike the Zypherin nobles who wore elaborate, colorful garments, he was dressed simply, in a neat uniform that marked him as a visitor. "Hello," he said with a friendly smile, holding out his hand. "I'm Ethan. I'm new here." Lyria blinked. Most people in the palace would have ignored her, but this human had looked straight at her. His voice was calm and warm, and there was no hint of judgment in his eyes. She hesitated, unsure what to do. Taking a stranger's hand was bold, even reckless, but there was something in the way he smiled that made her heart flutter. I'm Lyria," she whispered, finally lifting her hand to meet his. Ethan's smile widened. "Lyria. That's a beautiful name." For the first time that day, Lyria felt a spark of something she had never felt before. Comfort. Someone had noticed her, not for her rank or her appearance, but for herself. She pulled her hand back gently, feeling a little shy, but Ethan did not let go. He simply nodded and said, "Would you like to walk with me?" She hesitated. The palace was large and full of people, and stepping into the open felt dangerous. But something inside her stirred. Perhaps this human would not laugh or turn away. Perhaps he would really see her. She nodded slowly, and together they walked into the gardens. The palace gardens were vast, filled with plants that glowed faintly under the evening sky. Some flowers had petals that shimmered like glass, while others released soft puffs of colored mist. Lyria loved this place. It was quiet, safe, and magical, a world apart from the crowded palace halls. Ethan followed her lead, careful to stay close but not crowd her. "This place is incredible," he said, looking around. "It's like nothing I've ever seen on Earth." Lyria smiled slightly. "It's peaceful here. I come here when I want to think." Ethan nodded. "I can see why. You don't seem like someone who enjoys loud parties or big crowds." She laughed quietly, a sound she rarely made. I don't. I never know what to say, and I always feel like I make mistakes." Ethan tilted his head thoughtfully. "I think the people who matter don't care about mistakes. They care about kindness, curiosity, honesty. I can see all of that in you. Lyria felt her cheeks warm. Nobody had ever spoken to her like that before. Most of the nobles only whispered about her shyness or avoided her altogether. To hear someone acknowledge her as a person, someone capable and worth noticing, was almost overwhelming. They walked deeper into the gardens, passing glowing ponds and silver-leafed trees. Lyria began to relax, talking softly about the flowers she liked and the stars she loved to watch at night. Ethan listened, asking questions and showing genuine interest. He didn't interrupt or correct her. He simply listened. Time passed, though it felt like only minutes. Soon the palace bells rang, signaling the start of dinner. Lyria glanced at the sky where stars were beginning to twinkle. She knew she had to return to the ballroom, but she didn't want the moment to end. Ethan noticed her hesitation. "You don't have to go back just yet," he said gently. "We can stay a little longer if you want." Lyria shook her head, a small frown forming. I should. They will notice I'm gone." Ethan smiled. "I understand. But I hope we can meet again. I'd like that very much." Her heart fluttered. "I'd like that too," she whispered. As they walked back to the palace, Lyria realized something she had never thought before. Maybe she didn't have to be invisible. Maybe someone could see her for who she really was. And maybe, just maybe, that someone could change everything. That night, as she lay in her chambers, Lyria couldn't stop thinking about Ethan. His presence was like a light in the darkness, gentle but undeniable. She didn't know if he would stay or if their paths would cross again, but for the first time in her life she felt hope. And deep inside, a small, shy smile formed on her lips. Alex stretched back in his pilot's chair, staring at the endless black of space. He had been traveling for days aboard the small interstellar transport ship Aurora, carrying mining equipment to a distant colony. The hum of the engines and the soft glow of the control panels were comforting in their monotony. Alex liked routine. He liked knowing that the galaxy was vast but predictable. Suddenly an alarm blared. A red light flashed across the dashboard. Alex's heart jumped. "What now?" he muttered. He scanned the readouts and saw the warning. Engine core instability detected. Critical failure imminent. He worked quickly, pressing buttons, rerouting power, and attempting a controlled shutdown of the engines. Nothing worked. The ship shuddered violently. Metal groaned. Sparks flew from the ceiling panels. Alex's stomach lurched as the Aurora spun out of control. "I need to find a planet anywhere," he yelled, gripping the controls. The sensors picked up a faint signal, a nearby planet that looked habitable. With trembling hands, Alex guided the failing ship toward it. The descent was chaotic. The atmosphere tore at the hull. Fire streaked across the windows. The Aurora slammed into the planet's surface with a deafening crash, skidding through the thick undergrowth before finally coming to rest. Smoke and dust filled the cabin. Alex coughed, wiping soot from his face. The ship was badly damaged, but he had survived. Slowly, he unbuckled and stepped out. The planet was unlike anything he had seen. Gigantic trees stretched toward the sky, their branches glowing faintly with bioluminescence. Strange flowers opened and closed in a rhythmic pulse. The air was warm and humid with a faint sweet smell like honey mixed with rain. Alex took a deep breath, trying to calm himself, but his relief was short-lived. From the undergrowth, a low growl rumbled. His eyes widened. He scanned the forest and saw movement. Something big. Very big. A creature emerged. It was at least 3 times the height of a human. Its skin was covered in short, dark fur. Its face was feline, with sharp, glowing amber eyes that seemed to pierce him. Long ears twitched and powerful muscles rippled beneath its frame. Alex froze. Before he could react, the predator lunged. Alex stumbled backward, barely avoiding its claws. The creature roared, a sound that shook the trees. He ran, but he knew he couldn't outrun it. Then, like a blur, another figure appeared. A giant cat girl, taller than the predator, with sleek silver fur, agile limbs, and striking amber eyes. She moved with unbelievable speed. With a single fluid motion, she leapt between Alex and the predator. Her claws glinted in the dim light. The predator attacked, but the cat girl was faster. She swiped, dodged, and countered, her movements precise and deadly. Within moments, the predator lay motionless on the ground. Alex stood frozen, his mouth open. The cat girl turned to him, her eyes glowing softly locked onto his. Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. She was intelligent. She was aware. She was different. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then, in a voice that was melodic yet commanding, she said something in a strange tongue. Alex blinked. A soft humming tone filled the air. He felt a vibration in his mind as if the words were understood, even without translation. His translation device, damaged in the crash, crackled and emitted a soft beep. Slowly, a translation appeared in front of his eyes. "You are safe now. You belong to me." Alex's heart pounded. Belong to her? Was she serious? He took a step back, shaking his head. I don't understand. I'm not your... The cat girl tilted her head, ears twitching. Her gaze softened slightly, though she still exuded authority. She reached out and placed a massive paw on his shoulder. The touch was firm but not harmful. Alex felt an odd warmth spreading through him. "You are under my protection," she said. "To leave now is dangerous." Alex's mind raced. The ship was destroyed. The jungle was filled with predators. Alone, he would not survive. But accepting her protection meant something he didn't fully understand. He nodded slowly, swallowing his pride. "Okay, I'll stay. For now." The cat girl's ears flicked in what seemed like approval. "Good. I am Lyra," she said. "You are Alex. This world is dangerous for your kind. You must learn quickly to survive." Over the next few hours, Lyra led Alex to a safer area. The forest was thick, and the trees towered like giants. Lyra moved gracefully, leaping from branch to branch when necessary, while Alex struggled to keep up. She showed him hidden paths, dangerous plants, and small creatures that could be used for food. Alex tried to speak, but words failed him. He was awestruck by her strength and agility. Every movement she made was precise and powerful. Her presence was intimidating, yet comforting. Alex realized that she was not just a guardian. She was a protector who knew the jungle intimately. Night fell and the forest transformed. Bioluminescent plants glowed brighter. Strange noises echoed from the darkness. Alex huddled close to a fallen log, shivering. Lyra sat nearby, her large body curled protectively around him. She purred softly, a sound that was not threatening, but soothing. "You are not alone," she said, her voice calm. "Rest now. Tomorrow you will learn more." Alex closed his eyes, exhaustion overtaking him. He had survived the crash, escaped predators, and now, inexplicably, he was under the protection of a giant alien cat girl. His mind raced with questions, but one thought kept repeating. How did he get so lucky, or unlucky? The next morning, Alex awoke to find Lyra already moving through the forest. She waited patiently for him, demonstrating a hunting technique. Her skill was unmatched. She caught small creatures with ease, teaching Alex how to do the same. Slowly, he began to understand the rhythm of this strange world. As the days passed, Alex repaired small tools from the wreckage of his ship. Lyra observed his work, sometimes offering guidance, other times simply watching. Their interactions were simple but meaningful. Alex noticed that Lyra treated him differently from other creatures he had seen. She was protective, alert to his every move, and cautious with him. One afternoon, while they were collecting water, from a glowing river, a low growl echoed from the nearby trees. Alex froze. Lyra's ears twitched, her body tensing. A pack of smaller predators emerged, eyes gleaming in the sunlight. They circled, sizing up the humans. Lyra stepped in front of Alex, her body radiating authority and power. The predators hesitated. One took a step forward, and Lyra swiped with a speed that made Alex gasp. The predator yelped and retreated. She growled, a deep, resonant sound that echoed across the jungle. The other predators, sensing her dominance, backed away and vanished into the trees. Alex looked at her wide-eyed. I can't believe you just did that, he said, his voice shaky. Lyra tilted her head, ears flicking. You are mine, she said simply. To harm you is to challenge me. Do not forget this. Alex swallowed hard. The words were strange, but their meaning was clear. She had claimed him, not in a possessive sense like a human might, but as a promise of protection. In her world, this was serious. He realized that leaving her territory or defying her could be deadly. But staying meant survival, and perhaps something more. Over the next week, Alex learned to trust her. He followed her through the jungle, studied the plants, and helped repair what remained of his ship. He realized that survival was no longer just about food or shelter. It was about understanding Lyra's world, respecting her strength, and earning her trust. At night, he would watch her curl up nearby, her large form a protective shield against the darkness. Her amber eyes would sometimes meet his, and he felt an unspoken bond forming. It was strange, but comforting. Alex had survived dangerous planets before, but never had he met a creature like Lyra, and never had he felt anything like this connection, an odd mixture of fear, awe, and something deeper. The first part of their story ended not with a battle, but with quiet understanding. Alex realized that his life had changed forever. He was no longer just a human stranded on an alien planet. He was under the protection of a being who was stronger, faster, and wiser than anyone he had ever known. Lyra had saved him, and in her way, she had claimed him. As he drifted to sleep, that night Alex wondered what the coming days would bring. The jungle was dangerous, the world unknown, and yet, for the first time he felt that he was not alone. He had a protector, a guide, and perhaps a friend. Tomorrow, the real adventure would begin. The morning sun cast a soft glow over the palace of Zalara, illuminating the crystal towers and gardens that shimmered like jewels. Captain Alex Mercer stood on the balcony, gazing at the city below. The events of the past days had been extraordinary. He had witnessed the skill, intelligence, and dedication of the Queen's assistants and had shared knowledge and ingenuity in ways that bridged two worlds. Yet he sensed that the most important test lay ahead, not of technology or strategy, but of morality, leadership, and understanding. Queen Lithera awaited him in the central chamber, her presence calm but intense. Today, Alex realized the challenge was no longer about proving human capability. It was about guiding a mind, inspiring change, and showing that leadership could be about respect rather than control. He walked toward her, careful to maintain the proper posture, the proper tone, but inwardly prepared for what might come. Captain Mercer, the Queen began, her voice steady yet carrying an undercurrent of curiosity. You have accomplished much. Your work with my assistants and with the energy crystals has been impressive. You have demonstrated creativity, patience, and wisdom. But I sense that you have more to teach. Lessons that go beyond skill and science. Alex bowed slightly. I hope to share what I have learned, Your Majesty. Not to impose, but to inspire understanding and collaboration. Lithera studied him carefully, her gaze piercing. Very well. I offer you a final opportunity. Yesterday you worked with my assistants to stabilize the cliffs and extract resources. Today I present a choice. I could offer you my assistance fully, to serve you and humanity in ways only we can imagine. It is a gift that few have ever received. Many humans would accept without hesitation. Alex's heart beat steadily. He had anticipated this moment, and he had already made his decision. Your Majesty, he said calmly, I have no desire to take your assistants as servants or gifts. They are talented and intelligent, but they are not yours to give. True strength lies not in taking, but in respect, cooperation, and freedom. I hope that you see the value in allowing your people to choose how they contribute. The Queen's eyes widened slightly, a mixture of surprise and contemplation. You point not to the assistants, but to me? Alex nodded. Yes. Leadership is not about offering others as tools for gain. It is about guiding, protecting, and empowering them. The future of Zalara, and the bond between our worlds, depends on respect and choice, not tradition or expectation. For a long moment, Lithera said nothing. Then she rose gracefully, moving closer to him. You are unlike any visitor I have ever received. Most see only what they can take, not what they can inspire. You speak of ideals that are unfamiliar yet compelling. Alex kept his posture steady, his voice calm. I believe that when people are allowed to contribute freely, they achieve more than when they are constrained by rules or obligations. Your assistants have immense skill and intelligence. They deserve recognition, opportunity, and respect. Your leadership could help them, and Zalara, grow in ways that tradition alone cannot achieve. The Queen's expression softened, her eyes reflecting both admiration and uncertainty. Perhaps I have been bound too tightly by custom, too cautious in adhering to the laws of my ancestors. I see now that the path forward may require courage, not in battle but in choice. Alex nodded. Courage of the mind and heart is the greatest strength. Humanity has learned that progress is built not on control, but on understanding and cooperation. You have the chance to lead your people into a future that honors their talent and freedom. Lithera walked slowly toward a large window overlooking the palace gardens. The soft light of Zalara's twin suns danced across the crystalline structures, and the assistants moved gracefully among the plants, tending to their duties with skill and focus. She watched them quietly, seeing for the first time not just their abilities, but their potential, their individuality, and the way they could flourish if given freedom. You speak wisely, Captain Mercer, she said finally. Your actions and words challenge centuries of tradition. I have offered my assistance as gifts because it is expected, because it has always been done. Yet I see that this is not the path to true greatness. Perhaps the greatest gift is the opportunity to choose one's own destiny. Alex felt a sense of hope. He had not come to Zalara to impose his will, but to inspire change through example and integrity. Your Majesty, he said gently, the assistants are already remarkable. But when people are given the freedom to use their talents as they wish, they become extraordinary. That is the gift you can offer them, and your people. The Queen turned to face him fully, her eyes thoughtful and intense. You asked me to break with tradition, to change laws and expectations that have existed for generations. That is no small task. It requires courage, vision, and trust. Are you certain this is the path you would choose? Alex met her gaze steadily. Yes, because true leadership is not about maintaining control, but about empowering others. It is not about what is given or taken, but about the opportunities created. Your people are talented, intelligent, and capable. They deserve the chance to shape their own future. Lithera remained silent for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Very well. I will take your counsel to heart. The tradition of offering assistance as property will end. From this day forward, they will have the right to choose their own paths, contribute freely, and be recognized for their skills and wisdom. Your words have inspired change not only in my mind but in the future of Zalara. Alex felt a profound sense of satisfaction. He had not taken anything, yet he had achieved something far greater, a moral and ethical victory that strengthened the bond between their worlds. I am honored, Your Majesty, he said. Your courage to embrace change will be remembered not just by your people, but by all who value wisdom and respect. The assistants approached, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and cautious optimism. Leora stepped forward first, her eyes bright. Captain Mercer, she said, your guidance has shown us a way to contribute that is meaningful and voluntary. We are grateful for your respect and understanding. Rin and Celis nodded in agreement, each expressing in their own way the sense of empowerment that Alex's presence had inspired. They were no longer merely following tradition. They were beginning to see themselves as contributors, innovators, and equals. Lithera observed quietly, a small, proud smile forming on her face. You have done more than complete a challenge, Captain Mercer. You have reshaped the way my people will think about themselves, their roles, and their future. That is a legacy far greater than any resource or skill could provide. Alex bowed slightly. It is your leadership and your willingness to listen that made this possible, Your Majesty. I merely pointed out what was already within your reach. The Queen studied him for a long moment, then gestured toward the palace gardens. Walk with me, she said. They moved together among the glowing plants and crystalline fountains, the assistants tending to their tasks with renewed energy and purpose. I have seen what humans value, and I understand now that true strength is not measured by what one can take, but by what one can inspire. You have shown me that courage, wisdom, and integrity can change the future. Alex felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Solara was no longer just a planet of beauty and mystery. It was a world on the brink of transformation, guided by leadership that valued freedom, choice, and respect. Humanity's role was not to dominate or take, but to demonstrate what could be achieved through collaboration, ethical courage, and ingenuity. As the day turned to night, the twin moons rose over the palace, casting silver light across the gardens and towers. The assistants moved with a sense of pride and purpose, their eyes bright with curiosity and hope. The queen watched them, reflecting on the lessons she had learned from a human visitor who had arrived not to conquer, but to inspire. Alex stood quietly at her side, knowing that the choices made today would shape the future of Solara for generations. He had not sought glory or reward, yet he had accomplished something far more enduring. The demonstration that humanity's strength lay not in force, but in integrity, respect, and the courage to make the right choice. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by the glow of Zolara's moons and the subtle hum of life all around, Alex Mercer understood the profound truth of his journey, that the measure of a civilization was not in its power or resources, but in its willingness to uplift, empower, and respect every individual. The queen nodded slowly, a silent acknowledgement of the bond that had been forged, the lesson that had been learned, and the future that now lay open to possibility. For Alex, this was not the end. It was the beginning of a story that would shape the relationship between two worlds, guided by wisdom, morality, and the enduring strength of humanity. The Falcon's Pride had finally docked at the neutral station, a massive structure orbiting a gas giant. Its exterior glowed faintly in the reflection of the nearby sun, lights blinking across docking bays, research facilities, and marketplaces teeming with species from every corner of the galaxy. Adrian cross-guided the ship to a secure bay, carefully avoiding interference from other docked vessels. His mind raced with calculations, protocols, and the responsibility of ensuring the Queen's safety. Sarathis remained near the viewport. Her form silhouetted against the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. She was silent, contemplative, her eyes reflecting both curiosity and concern. Adrian had grown accustomed to her quiet moments. They were often a prelude to something significant. "Commander," she said softly, breaking the silence, "we are entering a place where my presence will be questioned, scrutinized, and perhaps even challenged. You understand what this means for you, do you not?" Adrian looked at her carefully. "I do. I understand that having a Clary Queen on board puts my crew, my ship, and myself in a position of scrutiny. But I also understand that we've faced worse. We'll handle it together just like we did before." Sarathis inclined her head slightly. "Your courage is admirable, human. It is rare for someone to willingly risk themselves for another without consideration of political consequences. That quality, it is something my people lost long ago." Adrian nodded quietly, unsure how to respond. There was a warmth in her voice, an acknowledgement that went beyond respect. He felt it, and it stirred something deep within him, a mixture of pride, responsibility, and curiosity. The docking procedure completed, and the ship settled onto the platform with minimal vibration. Security protocols engaged immediately as expected. Both human and neutral station security forces were present, ensuring that no unauthorized beings could approach. Adrian and his team began preparations to escort Sarathis to a private meeting area, where station officials would verify her identity and discuss her safe passage. The corridor to the station's administrative hub was crowded with beings of every shape, size, and color. Adrian's team moved with precision, forming a protective formation around Sarathis. Even in captivity, she moved with elegance and authority, her presence commanding attention despite the chaos. Many station inhabitants paused to watch her, some bowing in respect, others whispering among themselves. Adrian could feel the tension mounting, the weight of expectation pressing down on him. As they reached a secure chamber, station officials began their formalities. Documents were exchanged, identification verified, and security protocols confirmed. Sarathis observed everything with meticulous attention, her eyes never leaving the humans who had escorted her. Adrian noted the subtle admiration in her gaze, the quiet acknowledgement that he had done more than his duty. Once the formalities concluded, Sarathis turned to Adrian, her expression calm but resolute. "Commander," she said, "now that we are in a safe environment, I wish to speak with you without protocol, without interference. Will you accompany me? Adrian nodded. Of course, he said. He followed her down a private corridor leading to a quiet observation lounge, far removed from the bustle of the station. The room overlooked the vast expanse of space, stars stretching endlessly, distant worlds glimmering faintly in the distance. It was a place where conversation could be honest, where decisions could be made without fear of observation. They stood side by side, gazing at the stars. Sarathis was silent for a moment, her thoughts hidden behind her composed expression. Then she spoke, her voice deliberate, carrying both weight and vulnerability. Adrian Cross, you have proven something to me that no other being has in centuries. You have shown courage, ingenuity, and loyalty. But more than that, you have shown me trust, and in that trust I find something I cannot ignore. Adrian turned to her, his brow furrowed slightly. Trust? He repeated. You mean between us? Sarathis nodded slowly. Yes, between us. I have observed your people, your culture, and your actions. I have seen how humans value life, how they protect those they care for, and how they act when faced with impossible choices. You embody those qualities, and I find myself drawn to them, to you. Adrian felt his heart quicken. He had anticipated respect, perhaps gratitude, but this was different. There was a depth in her words, a sincerity that could not be ignored. Sarathis, he began, but she held up a hand, gently stopping him. Please listen, she said softly. What I'm about to propose is unusual, even bold. It is not dictated by politics or strategy. It is dictated by what I feel, by the connection we share and the trust you have earned. Adrian Cross, I wish to propose marriage. Adrian froze, caught between shock and disbelief. Marriage? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. You mean, you want to marry me? Yes, she replied, her eyes steady, her tone unwavering. Not as a political alliance, not as a duty, but as recognition of the bond we have formed. You have saved me, inspired me, and earned my trust. I do not offer this lightly. I offer it because I see in you qualities that my people have not seen for centuries. Courage, loyalty, and humanity. Adrian's mind raced. The implications were enormous. Political, social, and personal. Marrying a Cleari queen could shift alliances, attract scrutiny, and place both him and humanity under intense observation. And yet, beneath the weight of consequence, he felt something undeniable. A sense of honor, connection, and hope. He stepped closer to her, his voice firm but calm. Sarathis, I am honored, truly. You are unlike anyone I have ever met, and I feel the connection you speak of, but this is not a decision I can take lightly. We must consider the implications, for both our peoples and ourselves. Sarathis inclined her head, her expression patient. I understand, Adrian. I do not expect an immediate answer. But know this, my proposal is not a fleeting sentiment. It is a choice I make with full awareness of the consequences. I offer it because I trust you, and because I believe in what humans can achieve when they act with courage and honor. Adrian exhaled slowly, feeling the gravity of the moment settle over him. He looked at the stars outside the window, considering the enormity of the universe, the fragility of life, and the rarity of trust between species. Then he turned back to Sarathis, meeting her gaze with determination. I will consider your proposal carefully. But know this, I will not make a decision based on fear or expectation. I will make it based on what is right, and on what humanity represents. Sarathis's lips curved into a faint smile. That is all I ask, Adrian. All I ask. Over the next several days, Adrian and Sarathis worked together to navigate the political landscape of the neutral station. They met with diplomats, station officials, and representatives from other species, all of whom observed the Queen and her human companion with varying degrees of curiosity, suspicion, and admiration. Adrian relied on his training, intuition, and understanding of human values to manage each encounter, while Sarathis offered insight, guidance, and quiet support. Through it all, their bond grew stronger. They shared small moments of conversation, laughter, and reflection. Sarathis observed Adrian's interactions with his crew, noting the patience, respect, and care he showed them. Adrian watched as Sarathis handled difficult questions with grace, intelligence, and quiet authority. Together, they demonstrated a partnership built on trust, courage, and mutual respect, qualities that transcended species, politics, and tradition. One evening, as the station's artificial sun set, casting warm light across the observation deck, Sarathis approached Adrian once more. "Adrian, I understand the weight of the choice I have presented. But I must ask, what do you feel?" Adrian met her gaze, steady and unwavering. "I feel that humanity is at its best when it protects, when it trusts, and when it acts with courage. And I feel that, whatever decision I make, I want to honor the bond we have formed. I do not take your proposal lightly. I will give it the consideration it deserves." Sarathis nodded, her eyes reflecting both relief and quiet pride. "That is all I could hope for, Adrian. Whatever you decide, know that you have my trust, my respect, and my admiration." As the artificial night fell over the station, the two of them stood together, gazing at the stars. The universe stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown dangers, opportunities, and challenges. But in that moment, they were not queen and soldier. Human and alien, they were two beings bound by trust, courage, and the beginnings of a connection that could change the course of history. The galaxy outside was vast and unpredictable, but aboard the Falcon's Pride and within the observation deck of the neutral station, something rare and extraordinary was unfolding. A recognition of humanity's courage, a bond forged in adversity, and a proposal that could bridge worlds. Adrian knew that the decision ahead would not be easy. He understood the weight of responsibility, the potential consequences, and the scrutiny that would follow. But he also understood something deeper. The human spirit thrived in the face of challenge, in the pursuit of what was right, and in the courage to trust and connect. And for the first time, he realized that this proposal was not just a choice. It was an opportunity for humanity to show the galaxy what it truly meant to be remarkable. Sarathis's hand brushed lightly against the console beside him, a subtle gesture that spoke more. The first light of dawn spilled across the glowing forest, painting the crystalline trees with shades of pink and gold. Captain Ryan Hayes stood at the edge of the plateau, the two tiny alien girls hovering at his sides. The energy of the planet pulsed gently, as if approving the bond that had been forged. The stars above still shimmered, a constant reminder that the universe had watched and chosen him wisely. Ryan took a deep breath, feeling the girl's tiny pulses of energy against his arms. He had learned so much in the days spent on this alien world, the lessons of patience, courage, and understanding. He had survived the predators, mastered the floating crystal paths, and passed the cosmic trials. Now he knew, the stars had not only chosen him, they had prepared him for the adventures ahead. The larger girl fluttered ahead, circling a path that led to a shimmering lake. Its surface mirrored the sky, blending the reflection of the twin suns with the glow of the stars. Ryan followed cautiously, watching his step on the soft crystal ground. The smaller girl zipped ahead, laughing softly as she guided him toward a small boat-like structure formed entirely of light and energy. "This is amazing," Ryan whispered, marveling at the craftsmanship. The boat seemed alive, responding to the girl's presence and to his touch. It hummed with energy as he climbed in, the glowing crystals forming a seat that adjusted perfectly to his size. The girls landed gently beside him, their wings folding neatly. He felt their excitement radiating toward him, the tiny pulses of energy mingling with the hum of the boat. Ryan realized that they were ready to explore the skies together, to journey beyond the forest and see the vast reaches of the planet, and perhaps even the stars themselves. With a gentle push from the girls, the boat lifted from the ground. The forest below shimmered like a sea of jewels, its rivers of light tracing patterns that seemed almost magical. Ryan gripped the edges, feeling a rush of exhilaration as the wind passed through his hair. The girls hovered close, guiding the boat effortlessly, their laughter mingling with the soft hum of energy surrounding them. As they rose higher, Ryan could see the planet in its entirety, a breathtaking expanse of glowing forests, crystal lakes, and radiant rivers stretching to the horizon. The energy of the world pulsed visibly, forming patterns in the air as if the planet itself were alive and watching their journey. He felt a profound sense of awe, realizing how small he was in comparison to the grandeur of this world, and yet how significant his place had become. The larger girl pointed toward a distant mountain range, its peaks shimmering with starlight. Ryan understood immediately. They were headed toward new challenges, new discoveries. The girls had claimed him as their mate. Yes, but they also wanted him to grow, to explore, and to experience the wonders of their world alongside them. Hours passed as they navigated through the glowing skies. Strange creatures flew alongside them, some curious, others indifferent. Ryan marveled at the variety, noting the delicate balance of life in this vibrant ecosystem. He realized that every challenge he had faced had prepared him for this. Every predator, every puzzle, every moment of doubt had honed his instincts and deepened his connection with the girls. Eventually, they reached the mountain peaks. The air was thinner here, and the energy pulsed more strongly, almost vibrating in rhythm with Ryan's heartbeat. The girls hovered in front, signaling him to step onto a platform of glowing stone. As he did, the energy flowed through him, and he felt a surge of understanding. The mountains were not just terrain, they were part of the planet's consciousness, holding wisdom and history in every crystal and stone. The smaller girl landed on his shoulder, her tiny hand brushing against his cheek. Ryan smiled, feeling her pulse of energy in harmony with his own. He realized that the bond he shared with both girls was not just emotional, it was energetic, spiritual, and unbreakable. The stars had chosen wisely, and he was now part of something extraordinary. The larger girl led him to a series of crystal pillars rising from the mountainside. They glowed with ancient light, and Ryan could feel the energy radiating from them. As he touched the nearest pillar, visions filled his mind. Glimpses of civilizations that had come before, of explorers who had walked these lands, and of the energy that connected all life on the planet. The girl's tiny hands guided him, helping him focus, helping him understand. "This is incredible," Ryan whispered, awestruck. He could feel the history, the knowledge, and the life force of the planet flowing through the pillars. Each crystal held a lesson, each pulse a memory. The girls had chosen not only to bond with him, but to share this wisdom, trusting him to understand and respect it. As the day passed, they explored the mountains, discovering hidden valleys filled with luminous flora and fauna. Ryan learned to communicate more fully with the girls through gestures, energy pulses, and shared focus. Every discovery, every moment of wonder strengthened their bond. He realized that this world, with its challenges and mysteries, had prepared him for a life beyond ordinary human experience, a life among the stars. As night approached, the twin suns dipped below the horizon and the stars emerged in full brilliance. Ryan and the girls climbed to the highest peak where the view was breathtaking. The forest below shimmered, the rivers glowed, and the mountains cast long, ethereal shadows. Above, the stars twinkled with a clarity he had never known. The girls hovered close, their wings spreading wide, catching the starlight. Ryan felt their joy, their excitement, and their trust radiating toward him. He extended his hands, and the girls responded, letting their tiny hands touch his. The energy flowed between them, a warm, steady rhythm that connected their minds, hearts, and spirits. This is perfect," Ryan whispered. He felt a sense of peace, of belonging, unlike anything he had experienced before. The stars had chosen him, the girls had bonded with him, and together they were part of something greater, a harmony that spanned species, worlds, and even the universe itself. Suddenly, a ripple of energy passed through the peak. The stars above shimmered, forming a path of light that stretched into the distance. Ryan realized it was an invitation to explore further, to journey beyond the planet, to discover what lay among the stars themselves. The girls chirped in excitement, flitting around him, ready for whatever adventure awaited. With a deep breath, Ryan nodded. He had faced trials, survived challenges, and earned the trust of not only the girls but of the stars themselves. He was ready. Together they would explore the universe, facing wonders and dangers, mysteries and marvels. And whatever came, they would do it as a unit, a human and two tiny, extraordinary alien beings, bonded by courage, heart, and cosmic choice. The boat of energy lifted once more, rising above the mountain peaks. Ryan held the girls close, feeling their pulses of energy in harmony with his own. The stars above formed a radiant canopy, guiding their path toward the infinite reaches of the universe. As they soared higher, leaving the glowing forest behind, Ryan felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had been tested, challenged, and chosen, and he had emerged stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever. The universe was vast and mysterious, but he was no longer just an observer. He was a participant, a companion, and a partner in an extraordinary adventure. The girls chirped in unison, their tiny hands resting against his arms. Ryan smiled, feeling the warmth of their bond. The stars above pulsed in response, a reminder that they were never alone, that courage, compassion, and unity could create miracles, even across worlds. And as the boat of light carried them toward the horizon, toward the unknown, Ryan Hayes knew that his life had been forever changed. He was not just a human, not just a traveler. He was a chosen companion, bound by trust and heart to two extraordinary alien beings, ready to explore the cosmos together. Above, the stars twinkled, shining brighter than ever, as if celebrating the rare and precious bond formed between them. And somewhere in the infinite reaches of the universe, the planets, the stars, and the living energy of countless worlds seemed to hum in approval. Captain Ryan Hayes leaned back, letting the girls rest against him. For the first time, he felt complete, confident, and ready. Whatever adventures awaited, they would face them together. A trio bound by heart, courage, and the choices of the stars. The night stretched into eternity, filled with light, energy, and possibilities beyond imagination. And as the first rays of a distant sun touched their path among the stars, Ryan smiled, knowing that the universe itself had welcomed them, and that their journey had only just begun.